Professor Apasinghe, advisor to His Excellency the President, the guest of honor today, and also the chairman of ICT Agency of Sri Lanka, Mr. Rajneesh Singh, Regional Bureau Manager for South Asia and Southeast Asia of ISOC, Mr. Devapura, Chief Executive Officer of ICTA, Mr. Anusha Palpita, the Director General of the Telecom Regulatory Commission of Sri Lanka, Mr. Harsha Vijayawardena, Consultant Presidential Secretariat, as well as the President of the Internet Society Sri Lanka chapter, Professor Gihan Das, Chair of INET Colombo, distinguished guests, professionals in the ICT and related fields, members of the ISOC, ladies and gentlemen. Let me begin by saying how happy I am to be here this morning with you. I would like to express some of my thoughts before you as a user of the internet. I'm not a techie, I'm not a IT professional, but someone who wants to promote IT in Sri Lanka. And I feel the theme that you have selected for this morning's conference, Internet for All, is extremely appropriate. Internet is a limitless and ever-expanding system. As estimated by surveys in mid-2010, more than 29% of the total global population has access to the internet. During the past decade, the expansion has been 445%. That's a huge increase in the use. Majority of users are undoubtedly from highly populated Asia. They say it's about 42%. That is where most of you and I live. But with relatively low internet penetration rate, just 22%, than the global average. Sri Lanka has recorded 8.3% internet usage in 2010, and it's a significant improvement from 5.5% in 2009. At the beginning of this decade, that is in 2000, this figure was just 0.5%. Well, some of these things that I'm going to say must be already known to you, but let me, however, for others who don't know, maybe just share it with you. Sri Lanka has been placed at the 66th out of 138 countries in the 2010-2011 in the Network Readiness Index, and was identified as among the top 10 of the most improved countries. In the two previous rankings, that is 2009-2010 and 2008-2009, Sri Lanka was stagnant at this 72nd place. It could secure only the 86th position in the 2006-2007 ranking. So you see how much we have done together with the private sector, the government, all stakeholders to bring Sri Lanka to fairly a significant position in the world. Well, the Network Readiness Index ranking is also more aligned with Sri Lanka's position of 62nd in the Global Competitiveness Index of 2010-2011, also put out by the World Economic Forum. That means we have 61 countries ahead of us in the global competition for development. And that is where I think ICT, the sector, the private sector, the government, together with other stakeholders, work together in harmony towards the coordinated strategy. It is so interesting that there is no single owner for the internet, and each of us has even a very small share of it when we get connected with the so-called global village. As such, it's a public good in economic terms. The government has therefore a role to play when public goods such as road safety, law and order are concerned. Internet is one such public good. It has to ensure that all ICT tools are put to use for the good of mankind, only for the good of mankind, and for bringing people together. I have seen myself how ICT was used to propagate terrorism. We are at a very interesting point of time After 30 years of a long-drawn battle with the terrorists, Sri Lanka has now come to be a country with sustainable and permanent peace. Therefore, we look toward ICT tools to make it sustainable and permanent. ICT has a great role to play. We in Sri Lanka must ensure that none of the ICT tools, once again the internet, would be used ever to divide the Sri Lankan people. That we will not allow. For this and other reasons, during the past few years, the government has tried its best to narrow the so-called digital divide. East Sri Lanka program is almost at its final destination. I am more than pleased to inform you that the World Bank has pledged funds for the second phase of the East Sri Lanka program, which World Bank, in their own terms, hail as one of their flagship projects. Many school and community level projects with the assistance of the government have reached higher levels of success. I can list a number of them, including the Nanasala, the regional telecenter program and the network, and the school ICT lab network. Those of you who are responsible for this should take credit for its success. The rural community could get internet facility at very low cost through the Nanasala network, which we now plan, with the blessings of the ICT and the stewardship of the chairman, to elevate these as e-life centers. This is also mentioned in His Excellency's election manifesto of 2010, Mahinda Chintana, looking towards the future. However, please note that the prime objective of Nanasala is not only providing villages with internet facilities, but also a way of changing citizens' lifestyles with knowledge sharing mechanisms. Let me also take you back to 2004 when Sri Lanka has had a landmark change in the ICT policy. When His Excellency Mahinda Rajapaksa, at that time the Prime Minister, that is in 2004, was given IT as a subject in his portfolio, he made a fundamental change in the direction we were heading at that time in the ICT program. He saw the importance of taking ICT to the villages, to the rural communities, because we have 77% of our population in rural areas. So naturally, that's a very wise decision. It is His Excellency Mahinda Rajapaksa, the current president, who articulated the fundamentals of the Nanasala program. Today, it has penetrated the rural domain in no uncertain terms. Our aim is to have 1,000 such centers in the whole country. Right now, we have something like 600. In the first term of his presidency, once again, it is His Excellency Mahinda Rajapaksa who declared the year 2009 as the year of English and IT. This drew a great applause from Mr. Bill Gates in a video address spanning about 4 minutes. We needed such a high level of intervention to make both these subjects closer to the rural community. And as expected, many stakeholders, a lot in the private sector, rallied around the theme for various activities. Although we have a separate ministry now for telecommunication and IT, His Excellency's leadership for the whole ICT sector remains. And that I think, is a crucial factor in Sri Lanka making great headway in the ICT sector. We have Honorable Ranjit Siyamalapitiya, a young minister who is in charge of giving effect to the government policy in IT. Undoubtedly, the President has realized the great potential of this technology in changing lives of rural citizens and therefore keeps a close tab on the progress. I am glad to note that the ministry has recently introduced a 5-year ICT action plan for the country to help address the emerging needs. Today, technology changes so fast. Some months back, I was delighted to buy an iPad, and now I feel this is outdated because iPad 2 has come. If technology keeps on changing this fast, I believe we have to do something to keep pace with it. Today, interestingly, even small kids are competent in using sophisticated digital devices and are advisors to their parents on how to troubleshoot. I see young children becoming great fans of IT, and that's a very good sign. The expansion of mobile phones and telecom networks enabled people to access the internet without much difficulty. It is very encouraging to see more and more people using telephones, both fixed and mobile, to transact business and to improve quality of their life. For the last 3.5 to 4 years, not because I am the secretary to the president, but as a normal citizen, I haven't had to go to any service provider to pay my bills. I've done that from home. That's the power of internet. In Sri Lanka, of the 20 million people, you would be glad to hear that, that 18 million people own some kind of telephone, which is a great thing that I see as a progress in development. Extensive use of telephones has encouraged telcos to innovate and offer many applications, such as M-learning. Many that the ICT agency plans to do in the next few months. Many platforms and applications are being designed by developers to put on the mobile phones. With the explosion in the development of ICT, there is no doubt that the internet has become a multifaceted tool. Apart from mere communication and entertainment, we can see many opportunities of this wonderful tool. Telemedicine, citizen services, help during disaster management, etc., and etc. You name it, and the internet can enter the scene by facilitating all areas in a huge and a long list.